Unlike most of its South Asian neighbors, Sri Lanka has been fortunate enough not to experience an outbreak of H5N1. The emphasis has been on improving surveillance and ensuring that local institutions and stakeholders are in a position to respond if and when an outbreak occurs. Even without an animal or public health crisis to provide urgency and focus, considerable progress has been made, and the country's capacity to monitor the situation and respond has been greatly enhanced. As in other countries, the grant provided by the AHI Facility has leveraged other funding sources, provided continuity, and produced concrete results on the ground. The poultry industry has grown in importance in Sri Lanka over the past 2 decades. Evolving from a predominantly state-run sector, it is now 95% in private hands and impacts the livelihoods of around 1 million people.
There are about 74,000 poultry farmer families, and of these 74,000 poultry farmer families, the latest study shows that there are about 60% of the poultry industry, the poultry supplies are from the so-called large-scale farmers. They are mostly buyback or contract growers. Well, if you see, there is no person, to my knowledge, who has an individual farm of his own having 10 to 15,000, more than 10 to 15,000 birds. So what these people do is they employ contract growers for them. So some of these contract growers, they have say 500 to 700 farmers contracting with them.
Since the 1990s, several of these buyback concerns have grown significantly and now provide their own veterinary and laboratory services. And many are taking responsibility for raising awareness on issues like avian influenza with their clients. The focus of AHI Facility in Sri Lanka has been on developing preparedness, strengthening the surveillance system, capacity building, and risk communications. The facility has provided $1.4 million. This built on the momentum established through the grant support provided by USAID and the tireless efforts of other international agencies such as FAO and WHO in the immediate aftermath of the global crisis. Coordination between the health and livestock ministries is occurring both at the national and subnational levels. At the national level, a ministerial steering committee meets biannually, and a multi-sectoral technical steering committee holds monthly meetings and maintains a regularly updated emergency preparedness plan. The plan is prepared in collaboration with WHO, FAO, and other agencies. A modest project support cell is based in the Department of Animal Production and Health in the bustling market town of Kandy, some 115 kilometers inland from the capital, Colombo. At the subnational level, emergency response teams are organized in the provinces and typically include veterinary surgeons, veterinary investigation officers, livestock development instructors, and public health officers. At the district and local levels, the extensive network of public health officials and midwives is also playing an important role. All have been trained to recognize the signs of avian influenza and have been briefed on how they should collaborate with their animal health counterparts. Human resource development has been a major focus of the project. Capacity building has largely been handled by the veterinary officers working closely with their health counterparts. These highly effective local networks with cross-sectoral collaboration are undoubtedly one of the distinguishing features of the response to avian influenza in Sri Lanka.
When we are going to field, we are visiting poultry farms also, then they will get the necessary information from us. I think we are ready actually.
Yeah.
We have given that message to farmers also. I think we can manage if the outbreak comes.
There was different types of capacity building programs. Now, for an example, when it comes to the top level, we did have one simulating exercise, and in that particular simulating exercise, not only the health people across sectors, people took part. So capacity building programs were done at lower levels also, and in addition to that, animal sector, they were organizing capacity building programs where the health sector participated as a resource person, and then they gave inputs as to the human aspect of pandemic influenza and human aspects of the avian influenza, as well as human aspect of the pandemic influenza.
Government officials also note that rather than simply focusing on the response to H5N1, the government has taken the opportunity provided by the project to improve the general levels of emergency response and preparedness.
And at present, I think we have trained more than 58,000 the stakeholders, especially the farmers, and also they have assisted us in collecting samples, and also we have collected more than 10,000 samples from different locations, and especially around 35 hotspots.
These hotspots, mainly in the coastal zone, have been identified as areas most susceptible to an outbreak of H5N1. One of the primary risk factors concerns migratory birds, given that Sri Lanka is on the migratory path of a large number of bird species. Training in bird identification and handling has been provided to the Department of Animal Production and Health staff and veterinary investigation officers. This required close collaboration between the department and the Department of Wildlife Conservation, who have facilitated the collection of samples in return for training and improved emergency preparedness. The department has developed close ties with a number of local institutions. This LINKS program includes collaboration with local universities, notably the Postgraduate Institute of Science at the University of Peradeniya. A number of courses have been developed, including highly pathogenic avian influenza emergency preparedness for undergraduates, the application of disaster management principles in HPAI, and a 4-month certificate course in epidemiology.
Because of the scarcity of the knowledge of the people who are involved in this subject, we thought to start the epidemiology course, and then we thought not pure epidemiology, the applied epidemiology would be the best. So as a result, we started applied epidemiology short course, and then we hope to continue this to diploma program and also to MSc level.
While capacity building efforts have been extensive, the government notes that only around 15% of the farmers have been trained at this time, and more remains to be done, particularly in terms of improving biosecurity measures, hygiene, and carcass disposal. To complement improved human capacity, the Department of Animal Production and Health has also strengthened the surveillance system by expanding the number of veterinary investigation centers, the frontline institutions that would identify an outbreak of avian influenza. The centers have been provided with training, laboratory equipment, personal protection gear, and vehicles. A hotline has also been established. At the national level, the facility has also supported the improvement of the compensation fund guidelines, and a poultry farm registration program has been initiated to facilitate future payments if needed. In health, while funds were not provided directly by the facility, an existing World Bank financed project has supported improvements to the surveillance system, including laboratory facilities, training, and risk communication materials. Isolation facilities have been constructed in 21 selected hospitals, including the infectious disease hospital. Equipment was also provided to high dependency and intensive care units, and personal protection equipment was distributed throughout the country. Laboratories have been strengthened, and the country can now handle its own analysis as opposed to sending samples overseas. A robust testing program initiated during the 6-month period when risk of an outbreak was at its peak continues to this day. The ministry does note, however, that there are still gaps to be filled, notably the development of a high-risk BSL-3 lab. Communication materials are extensive, although care is being taken not to alarm the population ahead of an outbreak. Even the threat of an outbreak and several false alarms experienced over the recent years have had a negative impact on both poultry production and consumption. Through its grant support, the AHI Facility has successfully leveraged other sources of funds and provided Sri Lanka the means to continue strengthening relatively well-developed animal health and public health systems. It has supported unprecedented collaboration across the sectors at different administrative levels, and most importantly, it has strengthened the country's surveillance system and its ability to respond rapidly to outbreaks of avian influenza or other emerging infectious diseases.
I'm happy to note that the plus point of this project is we opened up an opportunity to work together with these two ministries, that Health Ministry and the Livestock Ministries, in the event an outbreak in Sri Lanka. I think it's a great achievement of this project.